Patrick Mueller is with us, RFC and president of Bella Advisors. Thank you so much for being with us. What's your big picture?
Hey, nice to be here again with you, Nicole. But the big picture, I think that with Jerome Powell coming out today and saying that he's going to start lowering interest rates or hinting towards that next month, I think it's going to be good. And he's been saying that pretty much steadily all year long, that he was going to push cutting interest rates until later this year. So I don't think that's much of a surprise, but everybody was hoping that it would be done a lot sooner to help stimulate the housing market and make things more affordable for folks getting into new homes. And as far as moving forward, I think one thing that people are missing out on that I'm actually seeing from folks that I work with, when it comes to importing things from overseas, we're going to start seeing a big hit from these tariffs in the third and fourth quarter of this year as this starts rolling through, as we start seeing these price increases. I was getting some signs for our new building here, and the price of the metal signs that we were getting as we were negotiating the deal went up 50%. And we're going to start seeing a lot of this, where you're going to start seeing a lot of shifting around the world to different markets, where people are going to stop buying from certain countries and start moving into other countries, or starting to bring operations back and here domestically.
So it's interesting because you're worried about the tariffs. You did have Jay Powell note the tariffs today. In fact, he said he was less concerned about inflation at this moment, and that the inflation effects of tariffs will be short-lived. That was sort of the base case. It could be a bigger deal, but he appeared to sort of show that it may be short-lived or not necessarily too problematic. You think that it could be very sticky inflation? Maybe the Fed won't cut at all.
I think that it'll be short-lived. I would bet that they do, with all the pressure that's happening from this administration, I bet they do end up cutting rates. But longer term, I think we're going to see some pain. I think we're going to see some pain from these tariffs. We're going to see some price increases for sure, because these companies don't have that big of profit margins with some of these big tariffs that are being put on all these products and services. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing that in the future. But what's good is that we're able to now start selling into a lot of these countries that we weren't able to sell into, which is huge for the U.S. It's going to be amazing long term from that standpoint, and it's bringing a lot of jobs back to the country. You've got Apple bringing jobs back to the country, Taiwan Semiconductors, you've got Hyundai, you've got GE bringing plants back from China over to Kentucky. So long term, I think it's going to be magnificent for the United States and manufacturing things in the States again versus going overseas. But in the short term, we're definitely going to see some pain. I don't think it's going to be as easy as Jerome Powell says it's going to be. And we'll see what happens in the future, but that's my take on it.
I saw an article that said NVIDIA is being squeezed by both the U.S. and China. It's a name that so many of our guests ask about, people who have it, because it's in all these, major averages and everything. A name like NVIDIA, which has run up to a high of 184, right now is at 178, but has been a clear winner. Do you like that name? Do you buy it on pullbacks?
Absolutely. I think NVIDIA and a lot of your forefronters when it comes to AI, it's going to be a big push here in the next few years. I think it's going to be impressive that what we're going to start seeing from the technology sectors when it comes to AI. So I like NVIDIA. The thing I'm not liking so much about NVIDIA, you don't want to be too overweighted in NVIDIA, because right now it equates for 30% of the growth of the S&P right now. It's a behemoth, and it's nuts. But I mean, I would buy it in the dips. I like owning NVIDIA long term, but you can definitely be expecting some rocky rides when it comes to the AI companies moving forward. But long term, I think it's a good place to be.
Okay, and so also the consumer is such a big part of our growth story. You did have Powell saying that growth had slowed. He talked about GDP. That had slowed notably, were his words. Tell me a little bit about that.
Could you repeat that one more time, Nicole? I couldn't hear you.
Thinking about the consumers, the credit cards, the holidays, we're seeing GDP growth slowing, and a lot of that would just comes from consumer spending or not consumer spending, right?
Yeah, I think you're going to see, as we start seeing these different cuts and things happening in the future, I think that will start easing a lot of tensions. I think people are really holding on to their pocketbooks right now as they're waiting for a lot of the tariff moves to subside. But you're seeing debt going up like crazy. We're at all-time highs with consumer debt, and it's really scary. You've got companies like DoorDash that are starting to finance food purchases. So people are trying to battle inflation by financing their food. So there's going to be a certain point in time in the near future that this bubble is going to pop. And exactly how that's going to affect everybody is to be seen, but nobody's really paying attention to this. And I think people need to start paying way more attention to what's happening when it comes to the debt.
Yeah, do you think people should be just quickly putting some savings aside? Are you worried that there may be some big sell-off?
I think so. And, I work mainly with people who are retired, so I'm always the big proponent of this. We want to take your age, and that should be the percentage of your money that you want to have safe and protected from market losses. And then the remaining percentage, it's okay to take some risk with. So if somebody's 50 years old, 50% should be safe, and then 50% should be on the market. So you should never be in a place where, like Warren Buffett says, you know who's swimming naked when the tide goes out. You never want to be in that predicament. Always make sure take some chips off of the table. And there's never been a better time to start repositioning and taking some of these gains that we've gotten back this year and taking some of that and taking some of those chips off of the table and safeguarding that and putting it into more stable places.
Okay, Patrick Mueller, thank you. RFC and president of Bella Advisors. Patrick, great to see you. Thank you.